Hi there, this is Ruben from Dutch Round 1. Thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for watching another episode. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your support. Today we are going back to some grammar. We'll take a look at something which is quite complex in the Dutch language. We call it the compound sentences. So basically, before we do that, remember to give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this video and how this channel is helping you with your Dutch studies. But without much further ado, let's go straight for the grammar. Alright, so first of all, I'd like to start and I'd like to explain to you what is a compound sentence. A compound sentence is a sentence that connects two independent clauses, typically with a coordinating conjunction. So that would be the definition. However, it sounds quite heavy, so I want to make it a little bit lighter. I want to make it a little bit more straightforward. Now, as you can see underneath, there is an example. So the first clause is ik drink water, which is a sentence, and then ik heb dorst. That's another sentence. That is another clause. And then you have want. Want is the conjunction. Now, what is a conjunction? A conjunction is a word which is going to connect two clauses. In this case, number one, ik drink water, I drink water, and the second one, ik heb dorst, I am thirsty. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to connect these two clauses and we will make a compound sentence. Ik drink water, so that's our first clause. Then we have want, or connecting word, or conjunction. And then our second clause, ik heb dorst. So as you can see, clause 1, clause 2 have been connected by a conjunction. And this is an example of a compound sentence. So as you can see, we have two types of compound sentences. I like to call them, personally, I like to call them the unchangeable compound sentences and the changeable compound sentences. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's look at the example. We'll start off with the unchangeable compound sentences. We've got a main clause and another main clause. Alright? So our example is ik ben moe and ik wil slapen. I am tired and I want to sleep. Now, why do I call that unchangeable? Well, we'll take a look at the clauses. We'll take a look at the first compound sentence. We have ik ben moe. Ik is our subject. Ben is our finite verb. All right? Then we have an, which is our conjunction or connecting word. And then we look at the second clause. Ik wil slapen. Ik is our subject. Will is our finite verb. So what can we see? That in both clauses, our subject and our finite verb, they do not change position. They stay as they are, as you would do it in English. That is what I call an unchangeable compound sentence. Now we're going to go to the second one and we'll take a look at the changeable compound sentences. Then we have a main clause and a subordinate clause, or a subclause as we call it. Alright? So we look at the example. Ik ben moe omdat ik niet veel slaap. Alright, the first one is our main clause. Ik ben moe, we look at the position, subject ik, ben, finite verb, normal position. Okay, then we have omdat. Omdat is our connecting word, or conjunction. And then we look omdat ik niet veel slaap. Now, there's something's changing because ik, or subject, is still in front, still at a normal position. However, if you look at our finite verb, which is slaap, we will put it all the way to the end. So that is a changeable compound sentence because the position of our finite verb is going all the way to the end of the clause. That is also why we call it a subclause. A subclause is a clause which cannot be an independent sentence. Ik ben moe is a sentence which is valid on its own. However, ik niet veel slaap is not grammatically correct. So the subclause is dependent of the main clause and also of the conjunction. Now, these are the two different compound sentences we have in Dutch, and now I will explain to you when a compound sentence is unchangeable and when a compound sentence is changeable. Note this is something quite difficult in the Dutch language. At the beginning, it will be quite confusing, but I will give you some hints to make this a little bit easier. So what is the best way to know whether compound sentences are unchangeable or changeable? Well, the best way, if you start out, just look at the conjunction. And I'll give you a hint, there's 4 of them, which is en, of, maar and want, and, of, or, maar, but, and want, because. Alright? These 4, if you use these 4 as a connecting word, as a conjunction, you will make your compound sentence as you would in English. Alright? So there's no change of subject and finite verb. Look at the examples. Ik heb honger, first clause, and. Ik wil eten, second clause. Ik, subject, heb, finite verb, en, connecting word, ik, subject, wil, finite verb. So just like you would do in English. I am hungry and I want to eat. Second one. Mijn zoon is op school of hij is in de winkel. My son is at school or he's in the shop. Okay? Mijn zoon, subject, finite verb is, of connecting word, hij, subject, is finite verb. So again, no change, unchangeable compound sentence. The next one. Ik heb dorst, maar ik wil geen water drinken. Ik, subject, heb, finite verb, maar, connecting word, ik, subject, wil, or finite verb, so it doesn't change. It stays in the exact same position. And then the last one, ik moet hard studeren, want ik wil Nederlands praten. Ik is our subject, moet is our finite verb, and then want, because our connecting word, ik, subject again, wil, is our finite verb. So these ones are unchangeable. So every time you use a sentence, a compound sentence, and you want to use a connecting word, and it's en, of, maar, and want, don't even think you can do it exactly like you would in English. Alright? So now we'll take a look at the changeable compound sentences, and that is a little bit more complicated. Alright, so the conjunctions with changeable sentences. Now the conjunctions for changeable compound sentences is basically almost all other conjunctions. For instance, omdat, because, wanneer, when, als, if, toen, back then, terwijl, during, hoewel, although, tenzij, which means unless. So now we'll take a look at the examples. Ik wil eten, omdat ik honger heb. Okay? We look at our main clause, ik, subject, wil, finite verb, omdat, our connecting word, ik, subject, and then we put heb, or finite verb, all the way to the end. Alright? So this is a changeable compound sentence. Why? Because our finite verb is going all the way to the end. We'll take a look at the second one. Als het mooi weer is. So now we start with our subclause. Als is our conjunction, which means if. So if, literally, it nice weather is, if it's nice weather, but in Dutch we say if it nice weather is. So that is your subclause. So your finite verb is going all the way to the end. Gaan we naar zee. Alright, so now if you look at the second sentence, we have inversion. If you're not sure what inversion is, click on the link which will appear, and I will explain to you in another video what inversion exactly is. Alright, so we have gaan we naar zee. So if we start our compound sentence with a subclause, our main clause, which is following, has inversion. Alright, and that is why we write gaan we. Our finite verb gaan is in front of our subject. Okay, then we look at the second one. Toen ik klein was, toen, back then, in the past, is the beginning of a subclause. So basically, was is our finite verb. As you can see, it goes all the way to the end. Then we start with our main clause, and again, we started with a subclause, so our main clause has to have inversion. And that explains why speelden is our finite verb and is in front of our subject. Okay, so these are the changeable compound sentences. So the main thing to remember is when we have a subclause, First we will put our subject, then we'll put basically everything else, and our finite verb is going all the way to the end. Alright? Before we finish off, what I'd like to do, I'd like to look at a relative subclause. And a relative subclause is introduced by two relative pronouns, we call them, which are dot and die. Alright? Now, dot and die, when used in compound sentences, they are called relative pronouns. Now, first of all, what is very important when you're going to speak Dutch and you use vinden, weten, denken, to find, to know, to think, in compound sentences, never forget dat. Okay, you'll say, ik vind dat, ik weet dat, ik denk dat. Okay, so dat you can never forget. Alright, now we're going to take a look at relative subclauses. Alright, the first one is de jongen. Die, that's our relative pronoun, heel moe was. So as you can see, it's a subclause, so our finite verb is going all the way to the end again. De jongen, die, very tired was, that is how we would say it in Dutch, so our finite verb is going to the end. Kon zich niet concentreren. So now we leave the commas and we get back to our main clause. So the main clause is de jongen kon zich niet concentreren. The boy couldn't concentrate. And our subclause is die heel moe was, who was very tired. Second one, het meisje dat heel snel kon lopen, deed graag sport. Het meisje, so why do we use dat now? Because het meisje is going with the article het. In the case of de jongen, the article was de, so that is why we use die as a reference word. Okay, so dat heel snel kon lopen is our subclause, so literally who very fast could run. Both kon and lopen are at the end of the subclause. And then if you look at our last example, ik denk dat hij naar Amsterdam zal reizen. Alright? I think that he will travel to Amsterdam. Now that is very important. I've said that before. So when you say I think, ik denk, then you will always need dat. Okay? Ik denk dat hij naar Amsterdam zal reizen. I think that he to Amsterdam will travel. That is how we would say it in Dutch. So both die and dat, sometimes used as a reference word, sometimes used as a relative pronoun, will make that you have to put your verb or your verbal group at the end of the sentence. Alright? So just a quick recap is basically compound sentences. We have unchangeable ones and we have changeable ones. The unchangeable ones, just remember 4 conjunctions. En, of, maar, and want. These 4, just like in English. All the other ones, with some small exceptions, but let's say in 99% of the cases, your verb or your verbal group is going all the way to the end of the subclause. So I'd like to thank you again for watching. Remember to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this video, and let me know which videos I should make in order to facilitate your Dutch learning process. I want to thank you again for watching, and stay tuned for another episode of Dutch Round 1.